Welcome to the Spurs DANalyst, the new channel. This is my first upload. Um, I love football. I love Spurs. I've been supporting them for over 35 years. Reason why I'm getting into this YouTube thing is I've watched so many of these shows over the years. I really enjoy them. I love the debate, the opinions. There's some really strong personalities in the YouTube world. And I thought, look, let's get involved. Let's make a channel. Um, as I said, I love talking Spurs, love talking football. I could talk all day long. And yeah, so here we go. So the Spurs DANalyst. Um, so as you see the title of the video, it's called Spurs Project Youth, which I'm going to come to a little bit further down the line on this video. Now, today, you probably want to know what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to reflect on last season, on Ange, on the new signings, how I thought the season went. Then I'm going to kind of move on to my expectations for next season, the transfers, what I want, what I think might happen, what won't happen. Um, so yeah, and then that will kind of link in to the game last night, the friendly against Hearts, and hopefully it will flow through to the title of the video and where I want to go with it, the discussion. So yeah, so this is my first video. Please bear with us. Got to get used to this videos and speaking to the camera. So yeah, it might be a little bit sketchy at times, but yeah, look, hopefully I'll just be okay. Yeah, so please be a bit patient on that. So yeah, as I said, wanted to get into YouTube. I had my debut last Tuesday on Spurs Kings TV. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Good chat, good Spurs chat. Good guys down there at Spurs Kings TV. Highly recommend that channel. They're doing some great stuff, not just people on the show. The guests they bring in, yeah, really good people. Spurs, good news about Spurs. Yeah, so go and check them out. Hopefully, when the season starts, they're going to invite me back on, so I can get back on their channel and talk Spurs. So while I kind of wait for that, I am going to do my own videos, and hopefully, when the season starts, I'll do some preview videos about the upcoming game, the reviewing matches. I'm hoping to do some live shows with my mates, not just Spurs fans, but from other clubs. We can review the weekend of the Premier League games, and yeah, it's just a bit of fun. Um, yeah, I'm just been thinking about it for a long time, and I'm here now, so let's go. So where do we start? So let's have a look at last season. How I think it went, and summarise it as best I can without kind of bumbling on too much. So Ange came in, didn't know much about him. Heard he was at Celtic, football, and when we signed him, a lot of people did look him up. What people saying about him, what he's done in football. As I said, where that he does play attacking football, high press, um, yeah, inverted wing backs. So yeah, it's a little bit kind of like unknown. I didn't really expect us to do great, especially new season. You have to bring in these new players. I kind of predicted maybe seventh or eighth, and then the signings started to come in. So, one of the first signings was the goalie, Mario, highly rated in Italy. Again, didn't know much about him. 26 years old, playing for a kind of team which were fighting relegation or near the bottom. Yeah, didn't really know what to think about him, but young, Lloris needed to be upgraded. Been a great servant to the club. Move on. A bit unsure. Madison came in, fantastic. I thought great player for Leicester. Creative midfielder, number 10, whatever you want to call him. good price, obviously because Leicester were relegated. So yeah, I was excited about him. Manuel Solomon, free transfer. Saw a couple of his goals he scored for Fulham the season before. Not too sure what to think about him. Had my reservations. Who else did we sign in that summer window before when Ange came in? Mickey van der Ven, of course. Yeah, again, I'm sure like everyone did. They saw that of him running back in a last challenge. And knowing Ange's going to play the higher line, it was important that we brought a pacey centre back in. So yeah, I was pretty happy with him coming in. But even before the season started, um, and I'm talking about before we got Brennan Johnson, which was quite near the end, knowing what was going to happen with Kane, was he going to stay, is he going to go, the whole Bayern Munich talk. I was worried, um, and when Kane went and we brought in Brendan Johnson, I was kind of like, well, I'm not sure how this is going to go. It's, with players, yes, Madison is a known player, but the others kind of like, maybe, maybe they're good prospects. It was a bit unknown. So it was kind of like my expectations were like, well, let's see how the season goes. Um, change a style of play. It's going to take time to bed in. New system. I didn't have much expectations. Just hopefully, because of the football being so bad under Conte, I was just looking forward to playing some attacking football. But knowing that those set of players that we brought in were probably most likely not going to kind of improve us much from the season before. So again, as I said, style of play, work on a style of play, build a team, try and enjoy some matches, and take it from there. And then the season started, and I'll come back to some of the transfers and my opinions on them throughout the video and how I think they did in the end. So the season started off fast. Not bad result at Brentford, 2-2. Romero with the header, and then he had to come off for concussion. 2-2, okay, not too bad. Brentford, tough place to go. We had a lot of the ball. I thought we dominated the ball. They did catch us out with a couple of fast breaks with what's that bloke on the right who plays for I can't remember now. It'll come back to me. But yeah, not bad. And then it was the Man United game, and I just remember watching on Sky Sports and Gary Neville talking about, oh, we can't play like that. Pedro Porro giving the ball away, inverting as a fullback. And Man United could have been ahead in that first half. They had a few good chances, which they missed. And then the second half started, and we kind of just really grew into it and played some good football. Saar getting the goal, didn't really play much before, and obviously Ange liked him, put him in the team. And again, it was a great performance, and you could see the reaction from the fans after singing Ange's name. It was crazy, like wow, being Man United. So great start. And if I fly through the results of first few results of the season, so we had the Man United game, and then we went away to Bournemouth. Good result, 2-0. Played well. And then there was that very disappointing game against Fulham, where Ange decided to play all the squad players, played only a couple of the first teamers, and very disappointing to go out of that cup. And that was kind of the first kind of big criticism on Ange that he made a mistake, even though we only went out in penalties in the end. But as Ange said, look, I'd got to try the squad out. I've got to see these players. But I just thought, well, yes, chuck a few in. But why stick with the players that have been won the last couple of games and just few a couple in just to kind of freshen the team up? I don't know why he made so many changes, and then that was it. We're out. So following on for that, we had a fantastic result at Burnley. Yeah, it was great. Great goals, 5-2. Scraped by Sheffield United, you know, dominating the game, but Sheffield United had a game plan. Then we went to Arsenal, and you know, I didn't expect us to go there and get much, but well, they surprised us. They stuck to Ange's style of play, playing out from the back. They looked fresh. They looked. I mean, I think a lot of teams found us in that first, start of the season on the stage of the season. They're a little bit surprised at our style of play. You know, the high press, attacking football, high line. I think we caught a few teams out. People didn't expect us to play like that. And the Arsenal game was a great game, and we did play very well to get the 2-2. After that, we got the lucky win against Liverpool. It was with that game. It was just so frustrating to see those players sent off. Obviously, the decision like went against Liverpool with the goal, and it looked like Liverpool were going to get something out of it, and then we got that goal, that own goal, in the end against 9 men, and then I think we're sitting top of the league. Then away to Luton, get a man sent off, win 1-0. Great start to the Luton game. We could have been 3 up in the first 10-15 minutes, but Luton got back in the game. Presumably the stupidity gets sent off. And but then we're playing with 10 men against Luton away, and Van der Ven gets his first goal. Great move from Maddison as well on the right. And yeah, we're still top of the league. And then we go to and we're picking up momentum still. We go to Palace, tough game. I like what Brenton Johnson did. He came on and subbed that game, linked up well with Maddison, goal, and then Son finished that game off 2-2. Where do we go after that? Previously to that, we beat Fulham, good result, 2-0. And then there was this the Chelsea game where we lost our heads. Again, started off that game so good. Just the football, fast, in. We looked fantastic through Chelsea. Then Chelsea they thought, we're not having this. Started to get their foot on the game, foot on the ball, getting stuck in more, pressing us. And there was the mad moment, Romero with the sending off, then Van der Ven with the injury, Maddison with the injury. Chelsea got back in it, 1-1, half time. After half time, 10 men, the doggy with a stupid challenge, and he gets sent off. And there, them 10 games, or I can't remember, 10 or 11 games, was like a kind of surprise. Good start. I didn't expect us to keep that going with those games that we played. In some games we did play well, but we were struggling in some games to win, getting last minute winners. Not completely playing well all game, if I can recall. Playing in kind of 10-15 minute spells, getting quick goals, if I can remember. And this happened a lot throughout the season, like these quick fire goals. We score one, score another, and just win us the game. Always run all ball at the back with a high line. But after that Chelsea match, we kind of lost our way a bit. But so we had the injuries. We had the suspensions, and still stuck to his style of play. Very brave. I remember a game we played against City where I just thought we'd get absolutely smashed. We had Royal at the back, Davis at the back. No, I don't think was playing. Um, had a lot of play. Maddison was out, Van der Ven was out, and we managed to pull off a fantastic 3-3 draw. But when I can recall that game, Man City weren't in full flow then, so some of their results were a little bit a little bit kind of they were winning a lot, but they weren't playing like Man City can play. So we kind of caught them on a good day, I think. But still, great result, 3-3. Then we played West Ham at home, which I thought we played really well, even with the players out. should have scored. We did score, should have got another, and then we made a couple of errors. West Ham took their goals well, but I was like, okay, it was a bit unlucky. I think the performance was good overall. Then moving on after that, we went and played Newcastle, and yeah, fantastic result. That was fantastic. A game. Newcastle, though, full of injuries, playing in the Champions League, caught up with them, and on that day we were just really good. We were really good. Played some great games. I think it was probably one of the best games we had last season. With Charleston scoring a couple of goals. Yeah, it was a really enjoyable game. So we kind of got through that run, few defeats, as I said. There was the other one against Villa as well. I forgot to mention that where I thought we played really well, and again Villa just kind of got away goals, and yeah, fair play to them. They were doing well in that part of the season. So yeah, so quickly moving on. I said about Newcastle, went to Nottingham Forest, battle up there, City ground, good header. I remember from Richarlison, Kulusevski putting a good performance that day, assisted and scored. Keeping us going, keeping us around the top places. Beat Everton around just before Christmas. Weren't the best performance. Everton were lucky, really, not to get something out of that game. And then it all started to catch up with us. We went to Brighton, and Brighton outplayed us 4-2. Home to Bournemouth, and I remember that game because Bournemouth were in form that time. They had a lot of wins in a row before they played us, and it was a tough game, and we beat them. But it weren't easy. They caused us a lot of problems. Their wingers, their pace. It was a good win in the end. Burnley in the FA Cup, bit boring. Stunner from Pedro Porro. Then we went to Man United, and still a lot of suspensions, a lot of players out. We had the African nations, the Asia Cup. Some went off, Basuma went off, Sarr went off, and at that stage, Van der Ven went back, Madison went back. Um, Man United having a bit of an indifferent season at that point in the Champions League, winning, losing. Um, they weren't in a good place. A lot of stuff was going around Man United, a lot of negativity. You had the Sancho thing. You had all. They just weren't free flowing. They had a lot of injuries as well. Um, so we went there. I think we played pretty well. Controlled a lot of the game, but again, Man United have got players who can hurt you, and they did. They took their goals well. Benton had a really good game on that match. I remember he scored, controlled the field. Then after that, we had the game against City in the FA Cup, um, which was our last cup competition. Our form leading up to that was a bit indifferent. A few wins, a few losses, a couple of draws. We didn't have our full team in there, and it was a tough one. And that game, even though we played okay, didn't really hurt City's played really well. They completely dominated us. To be honest, they're pressing, the way they played, um, and it was tough. I mean, we defended really well in that match. I remember, but we didn't offer anything going forward. Barely any chances. I mean, if I look at the stats on that game, it wasn't great. It was like one shot, one on target, 43%. Cities was 57. City were good that day. I thought they were really good. They were dangerous. And I think they didn't even start with Haaland that game or De Bruyne. I think they came on, but yeah, they got okay. The goal, bullying Vicario, goal, but they won. They deserved it to wrap. They both were cupped at that stage. So let me try and kind of just pause there for a minute. Let's just have a little bit of reflection as where we were at that point. Um, we had a good start, not perfect. Injury, suspensions. Um, some of the transfers that we made really impressing me. Madison, I thought had a good start to the season before he got injured. Vicario impressed me. Um, Zuma was playing well at the beginning. Sarr coming in, getting more first team football was good. Solomon had a couple of games, then got injured. It's hard to kind of say about him. But Doggy as well, obviously wasn't Ange's signing, but coming in as the inverted wing back looked really good. But again, young and he was going to go through moments in the season where he was going to struggle. It was his first season in the Premier League. Pedro Porro as well. Although he came in the season before, he was he was playing really well as inverted fullback, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, there was a lot of good stuff. Van de Ven with his pace and his last ditch challenges. Romero was good, other than the kind of mad moment at Chelsea. Bissoma, as I said, started well. We were playing Sarr in there. They were working together. Madison's son started well with Madison linking up well. And then you had Kulusevski, which was, yeah, for me, not good enough. He had a couple of games, but we'll come on to a little bit later. Richarlison, well, I was just thinking he scored some goals, but injured as well. He played a couple injured. Can't really rely on him. So we went to Son up front, and Son had some success there. So yeah, so what was I trying to say? There was positives in that first stage of the season leading up to just that after that loss. There was some positives. The transfer window opened. We were crying out with. We had a good opportunity there. We were near the kind of top four places. We're in the top four. Um, if we could just sign a couple of players ready to go to improve us, but all we did was Timo Werner, which was a very controversial loan deal, and Radu Dragusin, which dragged on a lot throughout the transfer window. Good cover for centre back, Timo Werner. Yeah, well, we all know what happened at Chelsea, and we all know what happened last season with him. Free transfer, what we got to lose was that our players that we wanted not available in that window. Maybe that's all we could get. Some was away for the Asia Cup. We needed some sort of cover. Solomon was injured. We were a bit light on that left. So it's like, well, let's see. But as I said, really happy about that sounding at all. I'm sure there was other better players who could have come in and done a good job and a better job than he, as we know he did. He didn't. So yeah, so moving on, rest of the season, following the game against City on the 26th of Jan, Brentford, pretty good game that was. The whole Mulpay drama, the Mickey taking James Madison's celebration. Really lively game that was, and I actually enjoyed that. And if we nearly threw it away in the end, I think it was a game where Doggy gifted him a goal, gave the ball away. But yeah, it was a good win. And Brentford, even at that point, ain't been that great. And I think it was the time Tony returned into the team as well, and he got a goal. And we went to Everton, very disappointing. We went 2-1 up, and then it was the whole kind of leading on the City game, the bullying of Vicario, sticking a man on him. Yeah, he was struggling, and the worries are kind of coming a little bit about Ange and the system and how we defend, losing a lot of goals from corners, free kicks, zonal marking. And he didn't do nothing. He didn't do it, and it kept happening and happening. And I can remember at the time everyone complaining, "Why isn't Ange sorting this out? Why didn't he do anything about it? Why isn't he protecting Vicario? Why aren't they changing to man marking?" And it kind of dragged on a lot throughout the season after that. Um, Conceded a lot of goal set pieces. Vicario getting bullied, and then that Everton game, that's what we saw. And Everton got a late goal, and it was furious. I was so annoyed when they got that late goal and given that free kick away. And I think it was Kulusevski who had a lot to answer for throughout the season. Very inconsistent, and for me, I never want to see him on that right side of the off and that right attacking player. No, he can't do it. Well, we'll come back to him later. Then we picked up a good result against Brighton. Um, yeah, as I recall that game, it was. Let me have a look. See, it was Brighton took the lead in that game. Actually, they had a penalty. So I got a goal back in the second half, and then we got a late winner with Brennan Johnson. So yeah, that was it was a touch and go game. One of the best performance. Brighton were really good that game. I thought they played really well. But again, another win, racking the wins up. Um, after that, we played Wolves, and it's the whole kind of famous. Oh, what's their manager called again? Gary O'Neill. You know, when he went on to Sky Sports. On the first game we played against them, or was it the second game? I can't remember now, but he came in with his blueprint of how to beat Ange's Tottenham. And obviously in the away game they done it, and then the home game he did it again. Great tactical performance from Gary O'Neill, and there were some good performances from all players that day. I remember Neto playing really well. Um, by midfield, it was. Let's have a look. Joe Gomez had a great game, got 2 goals, and Wolves played really well. They really, I mean, their midfield that day was so impressive. The way they kind of pressed us, won the ball back, played us quick on the counter. We got caught out a lot. And was just trying to remember the lineup that game. We did have Van der Ven back and Romero. The fullbacks are missing. I don't know what was happening with your doggy then. I don't know what happened. Maybe we had a bit of an injury. Pedro had injured. Emerson at right back. Sarbasuma midfield. Madison, Kulusevski's son, Charleston. So we had a fairly strong team other than the fullbacks. And Wolves that day, they put a really good performance. Lamina in midfield. Yeah, their fullbacks are great that day as well. Defensively strong. Yeah, they played well and very frustrating. Very frustrating match that one. Moving on from Wolves quickly. Palace at home. I thought we played okay. Looking at that result there, it was again we were behind in that game, and then another theme of the season today, not just mentioned about, and I've probably touched on quite a few negative things if I'm thinking about it now. Talking about the bullying of Vicario, persisting with a high line even though we didn't have the players, um, and a lot of set piece goals, and not doing anything about it. And then also going behind in games a lot. Awful lot we went behind in games. And another game against Palace, 3-1, where Eze scored a goal in 59 minutes and then we came back very late. Werner, Romero, and Heung-min Son. And we ended up winning 3-1. And 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 this was a lot of, again, and I mentioned this before in the video, we have these, when I reflect back on it now, throughout the season, we have these patches in games where we're keeping a lot of the ball, not doing a lot with it. The team we're playing back against are normally playing a kind of low block, especially if it's kind of the mid to low league teams in the table. Struggling to break them down. Game's not going anywhere. Not taking our chances. Strikers not clinical enough. But then we'd have this kind of burst out of nowhere where we would just score quick goals. And looking at that, that was another example where we just kind of blew them away. But again, it wasn't a great performance. But, great goals, well taken goals. So following on from that, um, we picked up a bit of momentum there. We went to Villa, and I remember talking to my mate before that game that the performances had been inconsistent. We were kind of struggling a bit, winning, losing, drawing, still kind of keeping up near the top. There was a lot of questions started to be asked, and sticking to his system, not willing to change it for certain matches. All the noise was coming out. Um, and then I remember just really this particular game speaking on that. I'm waiting for us to actually put in a good performance. Done it for a long time, probably since that Newcastle 4-1 win. and I was like, I need this. I need Spurs to put in a performance against a good team. Villa at that stage were above us in the league. They were doing really well, having a really good season. So they were a good team, and they beat us at home, even though I thought we probably deserved to win that game. And so I was hoping, I was waiting for it. And first half, not a lot happened. But then second half, got a couple of, and this is again these quick goals in a row. And as I bring up the game now, it was Maddison 50 minutes, Brendan Johnson 53 minutes, and then they got their players sent off. John McKinnon 65 minutes, and then the game was kind of over, and we got a couple more late goals. Again, that kind of quick goals out of nowhere. Not great performance, not dominating games. But that Villa game, to win 4-0 at Villa Park was a fantastic result and one of the better results of the season. Which definitely was, and got goals well then. And which was interesting about that game, and we'll talk about Ange and his in the flexibility to adjust tactics. I played a high line, inverted fullbacks, blah blah blah. Villa, Emery changed up to play us. He changed formation that day. I think he went for three at the back, and they kind of went against him in a way. I don't know why he did that. He should have just stuck to how they've been playing, and they definitely would have got a better result. I'm not saying they would have won, but a bit of a strange one from Emery. But yeah, at that point, Emery had done really well, and yeah, it was a bad result for them in the end of the day. Um, Following on from that, you're thinking, God, look, 4-0, let's push on. So where are we after that game? We are. I think it was the Fulham match, wasn't it? And it just doesn't make sense. Good performance away to Villa, and putting that performance in at Fulham, they absolutely just 3-0. Um, yeah, very disappointing. Uh, but to be honest, Fulham were really good that day, and they'd had picked up a few good results in the season. And you beat a couple of other teams as well. Arsenal, they beat Arsenal, so they could do that to teams on their day if it works, if it clicks behind them. They were good, and we were just poor. But it was a kind of like was the overall performances for the season catching up with us? If you look back, the inconsistency of the results in after January, winning, losing, good performance, a terrible performance. It was kind of a bit predictable, weren't it? Really, if you think back now. And and Ange was getting questioned a lot. What's going on? I think we had a lot of players back then. I don't think it was a full team, but have quite a few players back. So following on from that result, we let's have a think now. We played. So that was 3-0 to Fulham. Then we played Luton, which was, yeah, a bit touch and go. Another late goal, sorry, another late goal. Um, yeah, Luton scored early in that match, and then we kind of got back in it. They scored an own goal, and then Son got a late winner. Weren't good, weren't good, and Luton played really well that day. Did play really well. Then we went to West Ham. Yeah, again, poor performance. 1-1. Yeah, you kind of hoped for the season start to dwindle a bit. I mean, I remember at that point we were kind of still in the top four race, give or take. We were there. Technically, we could still get it. Um, but the results weren't great. The performances weren't great. We didn't kind of Radu Dragusin hardly got in the team. Didn't play at all. Played. Werner, I mean, I think he scored a couple of goals, maybe a couple of assists, but just really, the team just wasn't playing well. And the midfield wasn't functioning. It was chopping it up every week. It was playing Zuma. Zuma's form completely fell off in that second part of the season. Bentancur coming back from an injury, inconsistent. Then he was thrown in Holberg in the games to kind of save us. Madison's form dropped off a cliff. Some were still getting goals here and there. Brendan Johnson, it was scoring, assisting, although his performances in games generally, the whole kind of throughout the game was pretty bad, but he would pop up with a goal and assist. Kulusevski poor. Um, Werner again, as I said, inconsistent with Charlison, inconsistent. Son, it just wasn't working. Teams were working us out. They were setting up in a way to beat us quite easily. We were conceding loads of goals. Even though I think like Van der Ven throughout the season was fantastic, Romero as well, and the fullbacks, we were too easy to get up, and we didn't have that defensive midfielder. Basuma for me can't do it. Benjamin can't do it. Holberg can do it, but the manager didn't really fancy him. Didn't get enough games. Don't think he can play the ball from the back four. And it's another thing we're going to go back to in this video. That position, really important. So that conceding lots of goals, scoring goals as well, and it was just all a little bit kind of where what we doing here, where we going. The season was petering out. We went and played Nottingham Forest at home again. We won, but Nottingham Forest played well. Again, we weren't good in that game, but the quality of players got us through it again. Quick goals in a row, quick goals getting us through that match. No over quality is shown, but again, the performance wasn't good. Performance was not good at all. Then we got smashed at Newcastle, where we had practically our full team back there, I remember, and we just didn't turn up. And Newcastle played really well, really well. Gordon that day, Isaac's clinical. Van der Ven had a stinker that game, which wasn't like him. And yeah, the season before, we got smashed 6-1 in the first half. Bad day, very bad day at the office. Yeah, and I think in amongst the fan base and myself was just kind of, what is this now? What is it doing? Ange wasn't adjusting in games, playing a high line up at St James's Park. Dangerous thing to do, especially when your team's not in form. Questionable, very questionable. Then they soon followed that was Arsenal at home, and we got done by the set pieces again. Ario bullied, conceding such simple goals. We did make a fist of it in the second half, come back, got a couple of goals, but Arsenal were in that moment going for the league, playing well, having a good season, and I I wasn't surprised at that result. And leading up to that game from January, the inconsistent performance, defensive lapses, our attacking players not really picking up much form, scoring the odd goal here and there. Then this is really close now to the season end. I've nearly wrapped it up now in about 38 minutes, which is not too bad. Chelsea, 0. I was in the pub with my mates. It was so frustrating. And Chelsea's, I remember Chelsea had so many injuries in that team as well. They didn't have nowhere near their full strength team. And I think now of our lineup in that game, I think we had a few missing, but it was pretty strong. I can remember. Let me just get up the lineup there so I can remember. The lineup we had that day for Noah Doggy because he had been injured out for the rest of the season. A few games before that. There's Emerson left back. Oh, that on at all. Right, and this is, and if you can remember, this is when everybody was crying out, play Van der Ven at left back. What have you got to lose? Bring in Radu in centre back. And playing Emerson well left. Really baffling decision. We had Son, Kulusevski in that game, Brandon Johnson, Basuma, Sarr, Charlison. Chelsea, they didn't really play that well, but I think Pochettino at that point, he was we're getting results, getting some bit of momentum, a bit more consistent performances and results with them, and they were better. And even without their first team, they played quite well, but they weren't amazing. They didn't have to do much to win that game. A very disappointing game, and we just didn't do anything in that match. Nothing. Very disappointing match. Um, where are we now? So following on from Chelsea, we're getting really close now to the end of the season. Um, let's have a look. Where are we now? Chelsea, after the Chelsea game, went to Liverpool, got smashed, and this was really starting to irritate me. Really, really was. It's like, Ange, go to Anfield, team's not playing well. Please don't play the high line. Drop back, play different. Just don't let yourself get killed. And we got absolutely, yeah, we just got out in that first half. Second half, he brings on with Charleston, we get a bit of goals, but by the time Liverpool won the game, took the foot off the gas. Jurgen Klopp's celebration final games at Anfield or whatever it was, you know, they were in party mode there. Well, not party mode, but kind of celebrating Klopp's success at the team and leaving. And again, just rubbish. I mean, I just trying to think back now of how I was feeling around this end of the season, and I was kind of not lost interest, but I was of defeat. We weren't playing well. I was questioning Ange's system. I was questioning the players. I was questioning the players we signed. So many questions. Um, why doesn't Ange change things? Why doesn't he play Van der Ven at left back? Why doesn't he play with the high line? Why is he playing Emerson Royal as an inverted left wing back, left back? Just terrible decisions. But Charlison, just nothing there, nothing attack. Brennan Johnson getting goals, but not really doing a lot throughout the game. Werner then got injured. On the left. See, it was just catching up with us, and it was just a really kind of negative feel about the club in the end. When it was such a shame because we started so well, and you kind of I'd have heard many people say this about the season, that if we kind of flipped it on its head and we started bad and then finished well, the kind of feeling of the team would have been better. But we kind of got worse throughout the season, and it was worrying, really, really worrying. Um, After that, so we had this mini battle, didn't we? Now I remember of where we're going to finish in the league. We got like a small chance of getting Champions League if we win all our games, but then that meant we had to go to Liverpool and Chelsea and win, which we didn't. Villa form was a bit indifferent as well. They were kind of scraping by, getting points. The race was there, a little bit kind of. But at that point, I thought I didn't want Champions League. I didn't want it. I'll be honest. We weren't good enough. For reflecting on the season, we were no way ready for Champions League, and I didn't want it. And I was happy to kind of get some kind of Europa football, Conference League at that point, because I did miss European football this year, and I think it is a massive chance for us to win something, win in the Europa League, Conference League. Yeah, big. We can compete in that. So it was a little kind of Chelsea were creeping up. They could have nicked it in the end. Um, Newcastle, Man United were kind of in the fight a bit too. And in the end, we got a goal. We beat Burnley. Um, and then, hold on a second, let me think now. We beat Burnley. Then we had this kind of game against City, the very controversial game against, if we had beaten City, Arsenal would have won the league. Oh man, that was just. When I think back now of that game, the feelings about the game, what Ange was saying, the fans saying, everybody saying, the media was saying, the press about what we should do. Should we surrender, give them the point? Do we play for pride? Well, I mean, it was a lot. And then I mean, leading up to that game, previous game, Dan starts to get a little bit aggy in his press conferences. Pressure is on. This is different, new territory for Ange, coming from Scotland, Japanese league, Australian league. There's so much spotlight in the Premier League. It's mad. And Aggie in the press conference is snapping at the journalists, sticking to his guns. And this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm going to play. I'm not changing for no one. But then he did, didn't he? He did change, which was funny in the end. And I do get it. playing Man City, he wanted to get something out of it. We lost that game in the end. We actually played well, but one of our better performances for a long time at that point. Then we had to go to Sheffield United and secure a point. I think it was at that point. A point would have done it. We went there. We won 3-0. Sheffield United were relegated, and that was it. That's the season. Madness. So if I can reflect back, what I thought, summarize it. A lot of concerns, to be honest. Where could we start with this? Let's start with what I think went well. Okay, what I liked. I liked the more of attacking football, more high press football, trying to score goals, even though a lot of games we weren't really attacking all through the game. It was a lot of possession, not a lot of action. But at least if we were having possession, we were trying to score, trying to take control of the games. Inverted fullbacks. I mean, you were playing wing backs in their opposite position, which was strange. They did well. Van der Ven played well. Romero, I thought was good. Vicario overall was good. He can just can I not get bullied at goal kicks and corners. It's really hard. What else was positive? Son had quite a good season, even though he wasn't his best all games. He still had good stats. Brennan Johnson. I've kind of changed this now. I've kind of gone on to players. It's all kind of one thing, isn't it? My kind of reflection. Went well. What else went well? I like Ange. I like his personality. I like how he just wants to win. Um, Saying I want to win things here. I want to win the league. I do like that. Sticking to his guns. I do understand that. You've got to stick to your principles. I'll come back to that in a minute. What else was I going to say about this? Overall, there were some positives. We scored a lot of goals. A lot. We saw had quite a good season coming in. Just trying to think who else came in season. Not a lot. Madison was good in the first part, but second half went missing. We didn't really see Ventoncourt. We knew from previous seasons come back because it could be his injury. Maybe it's just not as good as we thought. Again, Basuma as well. I don't know about that guy. I really don't. Sometimes he can be fantastic. Other times he's missing. Goes bullying, bullied off the ball. Who else out? Who else really played a lot in that season? Could have so inconsistent. Better in the middle, I think. A couple of good games in the middle, bad games in the middle, went back out to the right. It's just not sure. But the team, I mean, looking at the positives, there weren't that much. Um, I mean, I'm kind of struggling, to be honest. I can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to play this attacking football, trying to play the high press, but he hasn't got the players. I've got to be honest. He hasn't got the players to do it consistently throughout the season. You can get away with it in a lot of games against low table games, but even those teams are giving us a run for our money. They were setting up in a way that made it really difficult for us. So let's go on to the kind of negatives, and I've kind of have started to talk about it already. Anne's persistence of not changing in certain matches, for example, away to Liverpool, away to Newcastle, sit back a bit, mix it up a bit, play on the counter. It's just suicide. I'm not saying complete change the whole, just have periods of the game where you drop back a bit more, play a bit different. It's just so open. Um, it's such a, and I think like going in and I'm not going to go into too much of this now, but my expectations for the new season, I'll put that in there. But Ange does need to be more tactically flexible. He does. He does. And I'm hoping that he's learnt a lot this season. The negatives again are it's just the quality of forwards we have. We've lost Kane, lost Son's getting on a bit. Brendan Johnson, for me, I don't think was supposed to start as many games as he did. Um, he's a moments player, scores goals, he's got some pace, gets on the end of things. There could be more to come from him. I wouldn't. He's not first team for me. He's definitely not first team. He's someone to come as an impact sub. Richarlison, even though he tried his hardest, he's just not consistent enough. He's injury prone. He hasn't got the quality overall to be our leading striker. Again, if we have to keep him come off the bench in some games, get goals, I wouldn't start him. Son, Son's a difficult one for me because he's a legend at the club. His stats were pretty good overall over the season, with goals and assists. Bit consistent, playing on the left, playing on the up. Nobody really knows what's his position anymore. Can't take on players on the left. Good finishing, but we're playing a lot of teams who playing a low block. Then we go into the midfield. Not enough creativity. There just wasn't. Maddison dropped off. He dropped off form. Barely did anything in that second part of the season. So where's the creativity coming from? You've got the inverted fullbacks going in, so they're not getting crosses into the box. Um, we're just relying on kind of someone's pace on the right or left just to kind of get in behind, get a ball in, quick ball. It was just just wasn't enough creativity. And I'm really trying to think now if I've missed anyone in that team who really was poor. I mean, Pedro Porro and Doggy, I think, good seasons. They scored some goals. Um, I think they really did play well, and they popped up with some goals. Also with Romero and Van der Ven. I'm just looking at the team now. If I've missed anybody from here, the Celso again, didn't see him. Even when he was fit, Ange didn't want to play him. Doesn't fancy him. Strange, really strange. Even when he was fit, he didn't play. He was injured the whole time. Brian Gill, he's not good enough. Didn't get much either. Andy Sullivan injured for most of the season. Valise was loaned out for Seville, and so attacking midfield wire, Kulusevski didn't have a lot of assists or goals. Maddison done okay. I've got to figure some hope here, guys. The way this video is going, it's not good. It's not good. Another thing which was negative, we didn't throw in the youngsters, the players who've been well in the under 23s from the leagues, Lancashires. Mike Moore was doing well. Alfie Devine was on loan though, fair enough for him. Tyrese Hall. And when we had injuries in certain positions, when we really there was a time throughout the season where our forward line was looking there was hardly anyone who could play. I think he stuck on Gill, stuck in a youngster. What's he got to lose? Just throw him in, see if they're ready, see what they can do, and didn't risk it. And I don't know if this was a kind of a board pressure that he had to kind of get Champions League or he had to get a European position. He didn't want to risk playing these youngsters when technically there was things to play for throughout the season. I get that. I get that, but come on, he could have given them a few of them a game. Second part of the season, we weren't great at all. We weren't good. We weren't good at all, and we were getting found out. Um, we I mean, from other rival clubs, we were getting slated. It was embarrassing at times. It really, really was embarrassing. What Spurs that part of the season, and uh, what could you say? We were in tactically flexible. Our forward line was poor. Our midfield combination wasn't working anymore. We were conceding goals left, right, and centre. Inconsistent performance. Scoring goals in 5-10 minute spurts in games, and yeah, in the end, he did tactically adjusted a little bit in the last 2 or 3 games. Um, is he going to do that next year? I don't know. So the season's over. We ended up in the Europa League, which I'm happy about. I'm looking forward to European football. I think it's a competition that we need to win and we can do well in. It's a competition where we can blood in some of the youngsters, um, which I'll come on to. Um, so yeah, that was good. At the Cups, performances were very poor. The consistency of the team, performances just weren't there. So let's move on now to this game last night. I think this is a good moment to go on for this game last night against Hearts. Our first proper pre-season friendly, and yeah, I want to speak about this game because I watched it. I did watch it, and from watching England, the so ponderous, boring football created, to watch the Spurs again, and I know it's a complete different football, but it was good to just see us just play some football, quick passing, combination chances, pressing. It was good to see. That was nice. Um, I mean, the first half they played a lot of the first team players. We basically we didn't have a defence. We had Archie Gray making his debut. Um, Oliver Skipp at centre back. Jamie Donnelly left back. Um, it was a little bit strange, but and it's just fitness. And I don't read too much into these team selections at that point. It's just to get the. And I was looking forward to seeing Archie Gray. I was looking forward to seeing Swedish bloke Bergvall. I'm sure I got that right. I was looking forward to seeing them, see how they get on. Um, some of the players returning. Um, yeah, just to see how we got on. And yeah, look, this that first half performance was typical of a lot of games last year for Spurs. A lot of ball possession, a lot of good little moves. Um, just so vulnerable in the middle of the park, easily could just lose the ball and it broke on, which is just concerns I'm going to come to. Um, Lots of chances actually, poor finishing, a bit rough. We did score a good goal. I liked the combination of Kulusevski and Madison. I think we were playing at eight, kind of playing the eights in the midfield behind Son. Um, I like that. It was a good combination of move. Madison to Brendan. It was a good finish. Enjoyed that, but I mean, Hearts could have scored 2 or 3 themselves. They had chances. So second half comes on. He changes the whole team, and so we see all these much talked about youngsters, much celebrated youngsters, saw the potential. Won the under 23 league, superstar potential Mikey Moore, Jamie Donnelly, Lancashire scoring lots of goals, Tyrese Hall. Um, One came back from loan. Phillips came back from loan. Bergville started. Before I go on to the second half, I just want to talk about Archie Gray quickly though. I thought Archie Gray was good. He looked good on the ball. Looked confident on the ball. Quite strong playing at centre back, which is not his position. I don't want to read too much into these things. It was a pre-season friendly against Hearts, who weren't really great. But he looked good. He looked confident. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing a bit more of him and see how he gets on over pre-season. Back to the second half. I mean, we were just so good. I mean, I know Hearts changed their team and it is Hearts, but the way we were playing, creating chances, scoring goals. It was just great fun. It was really, and I thought the second half performance was the youth players, the younger players, played better than the first team players. I mean, some of them played together in the under 23s for years and playing in the youth teams. Bergwall, yeah, he looks good. Taking on, basically receiving the ball, turning on it, finding a pass, running forward. He could cross the ball. I see him do a slide tackle, a kind of all-rounder midfielder. Um, and I know I have to keep going back to the opposition. It's hard. It's pre-season friendly. They look really good against them. And it was good to think. It's good to see. Mikey Moore went on a run. linked up with Bergvall, got his goal. I mean, I'm going to come on to the youngsters a bit later. That's what the title of my project of my video. Um, but yeah, it was, and you probably can see me now in this video. I'm kind of perked up a bit because it was a nice performance. But again, it's pre-season, it's just fitness, and it was nice to see some of these players all Lang oh well. Spence as well surprised me. Like I thought he was going. Didn't think Ange's plan. We don't really know the reasons why. Maybe it's attitude. But I mean, he looked like he had a life. Attacking, scored, he assisted. He looked like a bit like a doggy on the right. He really did. I've, I know it's so easy to just say, just get rid of him. You know, he hasn't really had a chance in this team. He hasn't had a run. He was shifted off to Italy. Noah. I don't think he'd done that great out there, but it was difficult for him. You know, the language, new country, young. I will say this now. I want to see a bit more of him. Not just basing on 45 minutes. I want to see him in other games this season. I want to see if he can do those performances against better teams, more consistent. He wasn't really tested much defensively in that match, but attacking wise, he looked really, really good. Very impressed. Again, Mikey Moore, the flashes we saw, took his goal well. I'm thinking maybe, and then and we've seen it just in the Euros of the young players. Some of the young players playing in the Euros. Yamal, is only 16, turned 17. Could Mikey Moore step up next season into the first team? I'm going to come back to that one. So yeah, it was a fun match, 5-1. Not reading too much into it. A lot of people starting to get carried away, on Twitter, all the videos out there of how good the youngsters were and little what they call those now, compilation videos of Jed Spence and a few others, Bergvold clips, and you know what it's like on social media, hyping up things when they're good, and when things are bad, things are yeah, they can be bad. So it's extremes, isn't it? There's nothing kind of fine with social media, Twitter especially, and YouTube. Kind of highs and the lows. There's not enough in the middle. Bit of both sort of thing. It's just either one way or the other way. It's funny. A bit funny. Um, so yeah, good performance as I said. Another game on Saturday against QPR. Um, so so what? So I'm going to read out this quote from after the game from Ange. Let me just have a drink. So after the game, he said this. Yeah. Right. When Ange was asked about the transfer window, he says nothing's really changed. I'm comfortable. We've got a strategy in place about what we want to do. I'm really happy with the two lads we brought in, but obviously very talented, but more importantly, really ambitious. They're not here to ease their way in. They want to play, and I think that's great. They've brought a good energy to the group, and no doubt there'll be a couple more additions, but I'm comfortable with where we're at. Now, let's rewind it back a bit. End of the season, and I think in the end of the season, Ange was talking about, well, we have plans in place. We've been talking since January. We've got a plan. We're all on the same hymn sheet. We know what we're going to do. We want to get players in quick. Transfer window opens. We don't know what that plan is. We don't know how many players. It's just we have a plan. So the transfer window opens. Um, Let me get who you've signed up so far. Yeah, Werner. Werner came in even I think before the window actually opened. Yeah, I mean, a decision for me. I know it's on loan, but we could do much more better than Werner. Maybe he's just third, fourth choice player for injuries in the Europa League, playing in Europa League, or that one. That wasn't good. Not a good start. Poor, poor for me. Don't understand it. Didn't do enough for me when he had his cameos. Not clinical enough. Got pace, but that's about it. Oh, he's a good person around the dressing room. So what? Don't care about that. He's not gonna make any difference to our forward line. He's just a little bit better than Brian Gill. Um, so very disappointing. Okay, it's a loan. All right, what we doing now? You know what it's like on Twitter. So many players linked. You know, and what I hate about it is this interested in. We're watching, monitoring. I can't stand it. Got to be honest. I cannot stand it. I want concrete stuff. I want to know that we're in talks with the player. I don't want to hear it from a good source on Twitter, reliable source. I'm just not entertaining all of these names thrown around on Twitter. Even in some of the YouTube shows, people talk about these signings, which there's just no real link to them. I need something more concrete to start to feel any kind of hope about getting these players. But, but but to date so far, we've just not done anything. Um, Obviously, we signed Gray. Um, he nearly went to Brentford. Kind of nicked in there and offered him better terms or whatever we did, selling Joe Roden the other way. Um, I mean, I heard about him last season, good performance against Chelsea and I think Liverpool. Um, 18-year-old English. Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm okay bringing him in. Quite a lot of money though. I think it's 40 million. Probably not that. It's more 25. Selling Rodon and paying it off over time. I'm okay with that. Bringing in he looks good. He looks talented. A lot of potential there. But I'm just because so basically, let me go back a little bit as well about my thoughts. And I've kind of gone off a little bit here, but happen. And I will get back to the point and the title of the video, Spurs Project Youth. I will get there, I promise. Just going around a bit back and forth. But yeah, so after the season ended in the Europa League, I'm thinking summer transfer window, we need to bring 4 or 5 ready-made players. We're going to challenge the first team and really push us on next season. There's a there's there there's a kind of there's there's something being made at Spurs. There's a style of play. We have some really good players. We have a system, but clearly we need quality in certain areas, and I will get to those areas. So I was thinking 4 or 5 ready-made players, a couple of young, maybe up and coming players. That's okay, but mainly we need ready now players to come slot straight into that team. And I'm talking about the likes of Eze, Tony, um, and when I'm thinking about midfield, we're dying out for a defensive type midfielder who can control the game, win the ball back, high line, protect the defence, bit of a destroyer type midfielder or somebody good on the ball like a Rodri who can dictate play. Priority, yeah, but definitely priority. Play like that. So I'm thinking who is there out there. You know, we've got Zubimendi him against England. You have the likes of Paulinia. He's obviously gone to Bayern Munich now. But there are players on there. There are players out there who can play that position who are going to improve us. Um, we talk about striker, um, a winger who can actually take on his man and provide goals and assists. Could be both sides. Someone like a Neto, possibly. I have concerns about his injury record. Um, then we need fullbacks. More probably on the left. If Doggie's injured, we haven't got anybody else who can play like him. So you can start to see a picture here. 4 or 5 top players are going to come in, are going to improve the team. If pushing the back, you could get Maddison in that area as well. Get rid of Lo get rid of Holberg, take them two out, bring two in. I know there's an issue with the homegrown thing, and that has to be managed. So we just can't keep signing players from Europe. But I mean, we're shifting some out. Dembele's gone. I mean, Session's gone, so we needed to bring someone in for him. But we have with Archie Gray. Holberg will go probably. Um, we're waiting for Reguilon to go. I've only been in the squad though last season, so it doesn't really count. Royale, we need to sell, and that's just frustrating me how that's dragging on throughout the summer. Just get rid of him. So there are players we can sell and bring in players from Europe. Try and bring in some players from this country, like Eze, Tony, English players. So it sounds simple, doesn't it? Like a lot of us being Spurs fans, it's just clear and simple, isn't it? Improve the first team, improve the squad. Okay, stick to the system going into next season. That's okay. Stick to the style of play. Yes, I'll come on to his change. It needs to be more tactically better to change things up in certain games. But nothing's going on. Like, what's the date today? 18th of July. We've signed two players, one on loan. And nothing is going on. Linked to SA all the time, linked to Tony, linked to a few other players, but that's that Desiree Dewey we were linked quite a lot to, but that's kind of died away. It's just a bit worrying, to be honest. A bit worrying. But I mean, so after that game yesterday against Hearts, and we saw a lot, and the way Ange is talking, he's talking about two Pacific players, and he's counting them as two signings for this summer: Archie Gray and Bergval. I'm always going to struggle with that one. Yeah, he's talking about those two players. Doesn't mention Werner. He's talking about those two and how they're going to make a big impact into the first team season. He's counting them as the kind of the way he's talking. It's like they're the kind of main part of the main signings, and I do like them. I do like them. Obviously, it's potential again. You can't rely on them. You can't expect them to come into this season and play well every week. They're gonna the Premier League, especially Bergvall, who's come from a lower league Swedish team. He's going to take him quite a bit of time. There's no denying it. These two players have quality, and I think they are going to have an impact on the team. They'll start, and if they come in, there's enough games for them to play anyway. And then he said, well, we've got a couple more coming in, but a couple more coming in, but I'm okay with that. So what is this plan? And I think that they're not really telling us the plan, because if their plan doesn't work, then they're going to be like questions. So they're keeping this plan under secret, and we're all second guessing. We all know what the Spurs need. We all know what they need. Man, we all know. We all know what players they need in that team. We all know it. Ange must know it. The club, they must know it. It's not happening, and I'm worried. And I said this on Spurs Kings TV when I went on last week. Are we doing Project Youth? And this leads me to the kind of title of my show, Spurs Project Youth. Are we leaning that way now? Is the realization that Spurs are not going to spend the money on these top players? You need about 200 million, which we have. 150, 60, 40. They're not going to buy him. Can we not get our targets? We've been pushing over summer. It's not going through. We're not managing to convince the player or get the price right. So are we changing tone now? Is Ange starting to change tone? He's talking about younger players more. He started talking about it when he was doing the ITV commentary, at half time and after the game. I love young players. Well, he didn't play young players last season, did he? So is he kind of... we don't know. Look, this is my opinion. I'm sure other people may agree and might not agree. Um, are we going more towards the youth now? He likes Mikey Moore. Mikey Moore talented. I'd like to see him. Not start, bud. You know, I Zeski on that, right? Even probably Brendan Johnson. Um, is Ange now come to realization that he's not going to get what he wants? Spurs are not going to spend the money. It's just, look, it's boring. We never are. And this is why, and I don't want to try and be too negative, but this is why we're never really going to break the monopoly of the top teams above us. There's a massive chance this summer was. The board has seen what Ange can do. He's seen his style of play. He can see that he can get good stuff out of certain players and improve them. And I mean, I'm not going to go down that route now. But you have seen some potential and some good play in certain matches. And has he come to the realization that now I need to lean on the youth? Bergvall, Mikey Moore, even maybe the striker Lancashire. Are we going to see more of them next season? We may get the couple in. Who are those couple? We don't know. I'm not happy about this. I'm not, because I was thinking, come on, get the 4 or 5 players in, ready-made, get them into that team as soon as possible before pre-season starts, and really go for it next season. You've got clubs in transition next year. You've got Chelsea, new manager, Liverpool, new manager. A few other clubs a little bit kind of not had the greatest seasons. Got Villa who are in Champions League next year, so they're going to have a season being in the Champions League and juggling it all. Newcastle will be back, I think. Not really done a lot of action in the transfer window so far, but I'm sure they'll be back next year. Brighton have got a new manager. Who knows what they're going to do? It's hard to know at this stage. It's a massive opportunity to really push on next season, win something, invest some money on the players, and get them in. But that's my opinion. That's what I think, and that's what a lot of Spurs fans think. Um, but I'm worried. Like Ange saying that comment yesterday. Look, I'm okay with how it's going. Really? Are you okay? I mean, I know he's he's got to be careful with what he says. He doesn't want to get sacked like Conte, but I mean, yeah, that says a lot. That comment. I've come to the realization myself that when not a lot can happen. We may get an Eze, we may get a striker, two, two more, and you're relying on the 2 young guys coming in to really improve us next year. So my question is, and obviously if anyone sees this video, please comment your opinion of it. Are is that what's going on right now? Are we going more towards youth? And this is a typical thing with Spurs. We've always done this. Levy's always said it. Oh, we buy youth players, young players, and improve them and improve the team. It's not a new thing for Spurs. But nobody's saying it. The message is not coming out from the board. There's nothing coming out about. I mean, when the season ended, the kind of people Lange and whoever else is managing that kind of side of the football now, like Levy's taken a bit of a step back. What as a club are we? What do we want? We've got enough money. We're raising enough money. We've paid it. We've got the most expensive season ticket. The concerts, rugby, the NFL, money's it's raking in. Sponsorship deals, a new one they've just got. I agree with it, but the crypto thing. But so much money going in, but they're not. Why not invest in ready-made players now? Take a risk, go for it. Give Ange it. Give him these players. And I'm not talking world class. I'm talking about players who are experienced, top players who are going to make a difference, who are going to score goals, who are going to make assists. Someone who's they're good on the football, technically good, who can control the ball, control games, make our midfield tick. It only takes one of them to kind of make a massive difference. And I'll finish off with the video of why the importance of those players at the end. But I'm going to finish this video soon now, and I'm just going to leave you guys with this thought. Has Ange accepted in his head that he's not getting what he wants, and he's going to now have to go down this kind of youth project. Whereas, as I said, we need X player, X player, X player for the positions that we need. He's now going to use, because he can't get what he wants, and the board are not backing him, as usual. I'm going to use the youngsters. And as I said, I'm not happy about that. But what can I do? I was talking to my mate last night about it, and this is what it's looking like. This is what's going to happen. Two more signings. Two. We need 4 or 5. Yeah, I get it. We're not going to get everything done in this window. Yeah, it could take another two or 3 more building the squad where Ange really wants it to get. I mean, yeah, expectations, it's all over the place. You know, the end of the season wasn't great. The positive feeling disappeared. I was hoping that the new signings or bringing these new exciting players would come in and really improve us and really make us push on next year. I want a trophy, either if that's the Carling Cup, FA Cup, Europa League. I want a winner trophy. I want us to get as close to the top teams as we can. I want to close the gap. Another important thing. I'm fed up with us getting beaten so easily. I want us to be harder to beat. I want us to knock that on the head. This getting easily beaten by anyone. We were getting beaten by everyone last year, really. Anyone could have beaten us. That's got to go. We've got to be tougher. We've got to be stronger. That's what I want. So just to summarise that quickly, I want to win a trophy or final. And if we lose it due to the other team playing a bit better or whatever, okay, but get there, give us that bloody glory to that success that we've been dying for 17 years, for God knows long, how many years. It's just so frustrated with it. And it looks like, I mean, at this stage, I know there's more time in the transfer window. It looks like window, yeah, it's not going to be what we all wanted. And then we're going to have to adjust our expectations again. We adjusted them last year, not having much expectations because of a new manager, new system, blah, blah, blah. Are we having to do this? Are we wait? And if it is, if we are just going for Project Youth, Spurs Project Youth, then as fans we need to accept that it's going to be another 3 or 4 years until we finally get that success that we're dying for. And that's what it is. So instead of signing a defensive type midfielder type number 6, well, maybe we'll just play again and Basuma and I don't know, Archie Gray. Maybe Archie Gray might be good at it. I'm not sure. I don't know. It's unfair to put that pressure on a kid. Um, I don't know what Ange's thinking. Who's going to be playing in that position at the start of next season? Who's going to be our exciting winger? Who's going to excite us? Who's going to take on the players? Who's going to get goals, assists? Who's going to be the goal scorer of this team now? Now Sam is getting older. Who's going to take his mantle? Who's going to be the finisher? We need it. Who's going to be the cover for the fullbacks? Maybe Spence. Time will tell. But on the left, who's coming in? Don't want to see Ben Davies there. No. Ben Davies, he's a good club servant and okay to keep him in the squad, emergency cover experience, but I don't want him to come in back or left back. So is Ange going to start playing Mikey Moore on the right wing? Is he going to play more games? Is Bergvall going to be the Maddison cover? Going to play next to Maddison? Is he going to play Bray as cover for the right back, or is he going to be cover for centre midfielder, or is he going to be a number 8? I don't know. Looking at the left, Werner, Son, Solomon. Not so. That's where I'm going to leave this video. But if anyone's listened to it, thank you for watching. I've enjoyed my first video, and there'll be more to come. So yeah, thank you very much, guys. Speak to you all soon. Bye bye.